This week we've definitely found the diamond in the rough, right here in the middle of Lehigh Valley, northeast Pennsylvania. Only about 45 minutes from Philadelphia, 20 minutes from Jersey, lies one of the best equestrian facilities on the East Coast. Welcome to Willow Brook Farms.
When I was a little girl, I would see pictures of my grandmother and my grandfather riding horses. They loved horses. They were horsemen. And I was dying for a horse, and I begged for a horse, and at 8 years old, my father bought a horse. And then the next thing I know, he bought another horse. And so we had 2 horses. He put an ad in the paper for a stable boy. And Bob Anthony, he answered the ad, and the next thing I know, he asked my dad, can he start riding my one horse, Breezy? And that fall, he entered the horse in the Pennsylvania National Horse Show in Harrisburg, and he won the open stock horse class on Breezy that was just a grade gelding. But that was the start of it. My dad and I just thought, okay, we're doing it. We're doing the horses, and I kept saying, yeah, Dad, we're gonna do the horses, let's go. And he agreed, and so the next thing I know, he bought Jo Cody from Virginia Harper, and she lived on Montauk Point, Long Island, which was at one point, all of Long Island was the oldest cattle ranch in the history of the United States. It was, the whole island was. She ended up owning the last ranch with cattle there, and Jo Cody was a cutting horse. My dad bought him, and that was the start of Willow Brook. All the great horses that came from here. Hapgood Sal was the mother of Easter and Sappho, and Jo and Easter, Sappho, Hapgood Sal, Paprika Cody, High Proof, all the world champions are buried at the top of the hill right over there. So that's kind of where it started, and here we are today, trying to get it back to where it was.
It was originally a group of farms that were bought by my father-in-law, and it was many years ago. His son, my husband, inherited the property, and so we're very, very blessed and happy to be here. Very, very nice. This is a beautiful part of Pennsylvania.
He hired me in 1957. He hired me, and when he hired me, I was hired to take care of a couple great horses, and take the kids to school, and odd jobs. It's like everything. It eventually grew and grew and grew. I won a rein in New Jersey one time on a horse. I couldn't show in the registered classes, but they had an open show class, so I entered that. That's all I could enter. And so then they decided, they said the top 4 horses of the junior reining, senior reining, and the open classes had to go in a stake. I said, okay. So I called Mr. Fuller. I said, you know, it's nothing. I mean, I'm not going to win anything, but they said I got to go in the stake class tomorrow. He said, okay. So I got up the next morning, I went to the barn, and he was there. Yeah, CT. I couldn't believe it. I said, what are you doing here? He says, I come to watch you ride. I said, okay. So they held the class, and when the smoke cleared, I won the class. I beat Joe, I beat Dale, I beat just everybody, and I won it. So we went out, I went home, and that was the start. That was the start of the raining right there.
Well, I tell you, the one thing is that my dad had very talented natural athletes. Bob Anthony was very naturally gifted as a horseman and a trainer. He really had a way with horses, he really did. And you know, the raw material that he was given to work with Joe, Cody, and all those great young horses, they were so trainable. And then Gene Bradner, he actually was the one who developed and created a good sliding plate. He was at Willow Brook. The first sliders were, you know, Gene Bradner putting sliding shoes on these horses so they could go out and really slide. So the team that my dad had was just amazing, and they're all, it's so great because they're here today. A lot of them are here today. It's pretty cool.
There was a shoer worked for out in Illinois, and he actually came up with the game plan. And Bob and Mr. Fuller flew him in here. He was doing a couple reining horses out there by Chicago, and he gave me the idea. And then Bob went down to Bud Beeston, where he was at Morgan Freeman's, who had owned Blondie's Dude at the time in Oklahoma. And they went to Bud Beeston to get a horse shod. And he sent me a couple notes on how to improve on the sliding plates, and I followed his recommendation, and that's where we went with rolling the toes and pulling the toes out and extending the shoes out the back and all that. So actually it wasn't directly me that developed it. It was Roland Bone, Bud Beeston, and I capitalized on it by refining it a little more. And that's how we got to the sliding plates. But without the sliding plates, I don't believe these horses that go down there and slide 25, 30 feet. We have a blacksmith shop at the end of that old indoor arena down there, and I just had one guy call me and tell me that he remembers me being down in there at 1 o'clock in the morning trying to get the horses right so he could go to a horse show the next day. And there was a lot of 1 o'clock nights, believe me. And we could change a horse 3 times in one day sometimes if it wasn't working.
He came to me one day and he says, "How much would it cost to buy Joe Cody? Mrs. Harper wants to sell." I said, "Well," so I gave him just a ballpark figure. She says, "Okay, I just wanted to know." So an hour later, he came back. He said, "We own Joe Cody." Yeah, he bought him. That was that. Then he bought a bunch of mares. He'd say to me, "I'd like this horse to be a world champion." That was it. It was 2 years old, and he's deciding when it's 3 or 4, it's going to be a world champion. And that's the way it happened. And that's the way it started. And then it went on and on and on. And nowadays, it's a national thing.
Joe Cody, Bob was here, and the horse died the day he came. So, and it's ironic that it seemed like the horse waited till he came. And that's how that was. But, you know, very, very successful. We were both very successful and very blessed that we're still here and we can still do what we want to do, okay?
I mean, from the time I begged for one horse till now, our whole family has been involved. My brother, when we grew up, we rode 4-H together. We did little tiny local shows, and then he went off to do motorcycle racing, dirt bike racing, and I kept with the horses. He came to visit me in Colorado about 20 years ago, and I was married to a roper. And we put my brother on one of our old rope horses, and he came out of the box, and that was it. He was back with the horses. We sent that rope horse back here. He's in the pasture right here at Willow Brook. He's 30-some years old. He's still here, but that's what got my brother back into the horses. He got hooked on the roping. And now he was doing the rein cow horse, so.
Steve, we're all out here as farmers and ranchers to make a living. The best ways to help that is saving money. Tell me a little bit about the Haymax and how it's going to save me and you and everyone out there a little bit of money.
Well, there's many styles of this type of feeder out there. This is just one of the many. And basically the way this works is you're going to get about a 33% savings from your hay. So what they say is for every 3 bells you save a bell. The nice thing about this feeder is it keeps the hay up off the ground. On a typical feeder, you've got the hay on the ground, and where it sets on the ground will mold out. Cattle, horses are not going to eat it. It also takes that bell, and instead of having it right beside the opening where the animal grabs, when it pulls that hay out, half of it falls on the ground, they stomp it in. When they grab that mouthful, half of it's going to fall inside and still stay inside the feeder, and so they can still eat that feed while it's still inside. It's got the sheeting on the top, which is really nice on a feeder of this style. The sheeting keeps the animals from coming over the top and grabbing it. So where they have to grab it is from the inside.
Well, it's all a pull and grab, so what they have in their mouth is what they're eating. What drops stays inside this line, pretty much another feed trough at the bottom as well.
Yes, sir.
I think the last reining here was in '95. And it's really super to have it back. And Holly taking the place and making it back to what it was, and everyone's here today, and it's just so great to see everybody here, and everybody's all excited, and it's like a reunion. It's just like a home reunion, you know, everyone's just running around, and it's just a great day. You know, when we left after the last horse show here, I think everybody had tears in their eyes, and we weren't sure what was gonna happen, and we drove back today, and everyone's just crying for a whole different reason. You know, it's just great. It's just a great day. We're having a freestyle exhibition tonight, okay? And the freestyle is reining, of course, you know, ridden to music. And there's some non-pros and there's some open riders. And it's just kind of a fun class that NRHA has offered, and everybody really, really enjoys it. And it sort of is a good crowd pleaser, and it's fun for the horses, and it's fun for the people, and it's just, it kind of lightens it up, you know what I mean? It's a nice thing to have in the evening, because sometimes the people that don't really know much about reining, you know, if they try to watch a pattern, you know, they don't really understand what's going on, but all of a sudden there's music to it, and they're really interested in watching it, and I think they learn a little bit more about it because they see the music and they see the spins, and they pay attention to it because of the music, and I think it's a really good promoter. I've had a lot of people over the years that have come and wanted to learn reining just because they saw the freestyle. And from other disciplines too, dressage people, hunter people, jumper people, western pleasure people. They said, oh, I saw that freestyle, I really want to do that. And they eventually do it, but they start out learning, you know, all aspects of it. And it really is a crowd pleaser, and I think it's a really good way to promote the reining to the general public that doesn't really understand much about it. So and it'll be a lot of fun here tonight. I think it'll be great. I think if you have a passion for reining horses, or horses in general, it doesn't even have to be reining horses. There's a lot of other horses came from here, not just reining horses. They bred horses that went on to do other things. I think if you have any kind of a passion for horses, it's like going to Graceland to see Elvis. You know, if you like horses and you like reining horses, you best get in your car or jump on that airplane and come in here and check out Willow Brook, because it's a great place to see, and I think you should put it on your bucket list and say, you know what, I was at Willow Brook, I did see it, and it is a great place. And I think that's a good way to put it. Dick Pieper came here in 1985, and that's when they had wanted to hire a resident trainer rather than sending the horses out anymore. So he got here in '85, and then he started, you know, getting everybody that was working here and breaking the colts and all of us. He started teaching us how to, you know, get the horses a little bit further and take them on further, and it was a great deal. We all had a lot of fun. There was one time we had 60 head here in training, plus Fuller's horse, you know, CT's horses. So it was going. We had 6 or 8 people riding, and it was a full staff. We had long days. They were great days, but we had long days, that's for sure. So it was good. It was good.
When we got horses and Bob Anthony was champion, right, at Open Stock Horse Show in Harrisburg, my father got a spark to do something with the horses. That's what sparked it. And he had a vision. He had this vision about quarter horses and competing and promoting them and, you know, doing the back of the journal. And he was a very good businessman, and he always had a vision of what he wanted, and this is it. He made it happen. So you have to have a dream, and he had a dream, and he made it come true.
Everybody stopped here, all the trainers stopped here. It was just a constant revolving door of people in the horse business that you get to know. It's more of a recreational factor here now with running a rein and working cow horses. We used to run ropings here, USTRC ropings, back about 10, 12 years ago. There was an activity here every weekend after we got out of the breeding business.
I think as far as the other trainers, just looking forward to being here, you know, there's just something about this place that is reining, that just when you're here and you're showing here and riding here and working here and being here, it's just, they're excited just to be a part of it again. You know, it sort of is where reining came from and a big part of the beginning. And I think just being here is just, you feel like you're home. You know, it's just a great feeling. So I think that's about the best way I think I could put it.
Well, my brother, he actually was very successful with the rein cow horse. He was, I believe, champion on the East Coast with one of his horses. And he, you know, he won a lot of big events and was a good rider and did very well. He was visiting his daughter in Santa Barbara, and a truck hit their rental car, a truck passing a tour bus on Route 1, which is 2 lanes. And my sister-in-law was killed, and my brother has traumatic brain injury from that. And that's why I'm here. I'm the oldest, and it's my family, and it's my passion, the horses, and Willow Brook. I want to make it come back, you know, to what it was in a different way. It'll be different. We don't have a stallion breeding. We are not raising horses, but we're going to put on a lot of horse shows. This is a horse show venue. And we love the reining horses because that's what my dad did. So we're going to keep focused on reining, rein cow horse. We'll have hunter and jumper shows here. We'll have a lot of different things. And we're going to have weddings. We have a place where we're going to have special place for weddings. It's going to be a profit-making business. It's got to pay for itself. So that's the goal. What happened to my brother was a tragedy, a family tragedy. And, you know, I felt that it was my, not only responsibility, but it was my honor to come back for our family and for the farm, where I grew up, where I was so blessed to grow up here with the horses and wonderful parents. And it's my turn now. So I'm here, and when you're faced with hardships, you have a choice. Everybody's gonna cry, everybody's gonna kind of curl up in the corner for a little while, but you gotta stand up and you have to put the next foot forward. Look around you, see how lucky you are. Really, even when bad things happen, you have to count your small blessings. See how lucky you are that you can take the next step forward, that you can make a difference maybe for someone else. I think, you know, when you can help other people, it puts your sorrow aside. You then become a useful, functioning person in our world that can help. And so that's what my dad taught me. My dad taught me that.
I know Bob Anthony or I wouldn't be where we're at. Bob Loomis wouldn't be where he's at. It all started here, right here.
I think everything we own is to Mr. Fuller. We own everything we ever. Anyway, I figure I win whatever I win, or however my children win or do, it's to Mr. Fuller. I think I think that's the end, right there.
He was a unique individual, a good-hearted soul, generous to a fault, and made so many friends and loved the horses. He loved the horses. And he had a gift of putting a great trainer with good horses and just always knowing the right thing to do. The other thing he did, he bought the back cover of the Quarter Horse Journal, locked in the price for 20 years. So every time that journal was either face up for the front or the other way, you saw Willow Brook Farms. He was kind of a genius to promote and project his wishes, you know. Oh, everyone loved him. I loved him. I wish he could be here today. And I think, you know, it's been 20 years since we had a reining at Willow Brook. And we're really happy to have the reiners back here. They're happy to be here. And I always think that my dad is looking down from above and saying he's really proud of what's going on here. And I can hear him say, "You go, girl." Looking forward to a future here. Looking forward to keep getting these horses back and making this place really rock. That's what I want to do. You know, make it pay for itself. Go to willowbrookhorses.com, and we're on Facebook, and there's a schedule of events, and there's a lot happening here, and we're going to keep it going. So that's it.